Week 13 did not disappoint in college football. Ted, let's start in Columbus, where number 3 Michigan went to the Buckeyes' house and smacked them around. 45-23 Michigan.
Mm,
I was wrong about this game.
yeah, I was too. I think everyone that I know that talked about it or picked it was wrong about it. That was an ass kicking on the road. I did not see that coming.
A fourth quarter domination. And listen, for Michigan to do that without Blake Corum makes it even more impressive. I know he came out there, he played the one play. It was clear he wasn't right. We didn't see him the rest of the game, but I I did think Ohio State kind of missed an opportunity early to try and create some separation while Michigan was still trying to figure out how they were going to have to play offensively. Right? JJ McCarthy was looking a little out of sorts, looking a little uncomfortable early, and Ohio State basically said, "You know what? We're going to play all these guys around the line of scrimmage, and we don't think you're going to throw the ball down the field." And Michigan didn't early, and then they said, "You know what? Let's give it a try." And JJ McCarthy, I mean, to his credit, he hadn't had to be that guy for them this season. And when he was asked to be that guy, he delivered. Cornelius Johnson made some good plays, man. And those were huge plays in that game in the first half. And 69-yard touchdown, 75-yard touchdown for Johnson. And what Michigan was able to accomplish late running the football, those were some statement runs for Donovan Edwards. Hey, that's what happens. You play all those guys up close to the line of scrimmage, you create a crease. See
Yep,
ya.
that's right. That's I I still don't know. I still don't know how. I mean, it's an unbelievable win, and I guess I'm not even going to talk about that. I was really impressed with, like, they went into a hornet's nest after losing last year with everything they had on the line, hosting Michigan this year. That place was cranked up, and to not have your best player and to go into that place and fall behind early, and just stay in the fight, keep answering the bell, and start delivering knockout blows and get it done late with defense and running game. Dude, that's an old school win. That's big time. Impressive.
It was really impressive. And you look at what Ohio State was able to do in the game, right? Offensively. Run game was meh. So CJ Stroud, he needed to be really, really good. And I thought he was good, but he wasn't great. And those late interceptions were painful. I mean, painful plays for him, that team, that fan base. I mean, and maybe they're not all the way out of the college football playoff picture just quite yet, but it lost him the Heisman. I mean, that was a brutal game for CJ Stroud. And he wasn't that bad, but he wasn't what he needed to be with how Michigan was controlling things at the line of scrimmage.
Hey, man, that's what happens when you play quarterback, right? You're going to have to wear those losses in games like that whenever you get outscored and you're at home, and you're expected to have the better offense and the better matchup. That's just kind of how it goes. And there is a war of words that went into it last year and then kind of built back into it again this year a little bit, trying to add some fuel to the fire. I guess everyone was, talking about the what the Harbaugh statement about born on third base and all of that stuff. And I just love how Michigan went in there and handled their business. No excuses. There was excuse making last year. Was it the punter that started tweeting out to all the Ohio State fans and those Ohio State team about no excuses this time? Take the L. That was that's something, man. When even the punters talking trash.
Michigan, and they earned it. Go and plant the flag in the middle of the field. Little
Where's
Baker Mayfield reenactment.
where's the pearl clutching this time? Is Michigan going to have to give like a full on apology and a statement? And is that going on this time, or is everyone past it?
Yeah, it's a rivalry, baby. It's how it should be. And listen, Jim Harbaugh, you talk about a complete 180 of a reputation in 2 seasons. Credit to that man. Remember, took the pay cut, didn't make a big deal about it, took the pay cut, said, hey, let me go earn this. And that is exactly what he has done. That was a big time coaching performance by Harbaugh. And I know a few Ohio State fans that they are very, very angry with Ryan Day. The only regular season games this dude has lost, and they want his ass gone, basically, like it is.
He's lost 2 Big Ten games in 4 years.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. But that's just, I mean, that's the pressure cooker that being the Ohio State coach is, right? You're expected to recruit really, really well, to win the Big Ten and beat Michigan, and to go to the playoff. Now, like that, those are the expectations. And
that's crazy.
They have fallen short of those 2 years in a row. And those people do not accept losing to Michigan. They will not accept it. So some people are making it sound like, oh, he's on the hot seat. I don't know. If they lose to Michigan again next year and don't play for a Big Ten championship again, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll tell you though, to me, Michigan has been able to beat almost everyone with good run game and excellent defense. And the difference, at least in this game and over the last year as well, not great, but way better at quarterback than they've been. Now, J.J. McCarthy, I don't know how he stacks up, but yesterday he was solid. And that was the difference, to be able to have someone that could push it down the field whenever they needed to. They just haven't had that previously. And it's always been like, well, gosh, Jim Harbaugh's supposed to be the quarterback guy. Why can't he get someone in there? And J.J. McCarthy is at least good enough right now at quarterback to give them that extra, that missing piece that they haven't had. And it's changed the way they play.
Yeah. And I think that this could be, I think that was a really important performance for J.J. McCarthy for his confidence moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was huge. And not only did he do it pushing it down the field and making plays with his arm, man, he did it with his legs. And that's something we knew he could do. Right. We knew that he could run a little bit. They let him run a little more, and he was able to extend some plays and use that mobility as a weapon. And yeah, I thought I didn't think he was that guy. He really hadn't been asked to be that guy, but when the lights were brightest, man, he stepped up and he played a hell of a football game.
And of all the players in a football game where being on the road matters, it's probably like kicker and quarterback, right? Quarterback the most. Kickers being on the road seems, you like to be comfortable. Everyone else, it's almost the same. Now you're in the environment and there's travel involved and it's loud, but the pressure is all like at the quarterback, and to be able to make those plays, that's to do it all on the road is even more of a confidence boost, I think.
Did you see his little like pageant girl wave? That was pretty damn good, man. That cracked me up. That made me like JJ McCarthy.
That's good. That's awesome.
I don't know if that was the Queen of England. I don't know who he was emulating there, but that was pretty
awesome.
That was pretty damn funny. All right, next game. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish went to the Coliseum and they got beat 38-27. USC emerges victorious. They're now 11-1, about to play Utah for a Pac-12 championship next week. And one team had Caleb Williams and the other team did not. Ted, I can give you all the analysis you want. I can talk about USC's run game being pretty damn solid, even without Travis Dye. That was great. But there was one man that made all the difference in the world in this football game, and he played quarterback for USC, and he was spectacular.
Yep. Yeah, he was impressive. As always, he's the way he is in the pocket, the way he can move, create space for himself, accurate passer, big arm. And, when he gets out to run, can absolutely turn your lights out. Just all around dangerous player. And he's the guy that you love to hate, man. Backpedaling into the end zone, like taunting the Notre Dame players. He's just like it's what it is it's great for college football. I kind of hate saying that, but USC's always kind of had those type of guys a little bit that were good and a little bit flamboyant as well, and he's fitting that mold. Did you see the nails?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And I will say that Caleb's got a bit of an edge to him, man.
Yeah,
like that dude, he's a competitor. Like he's got some fire to him as well, that kind of to go along with, whether you want to call it arrogance or attitude, whatever, right? He's got a good combination. And I'm not trying to make it sound like a bunch of those other guys for USC didn't impact the game. Of course they did, but his impact on the game compared to everyone else, you're just like, holy shit, look at this guy. And some of those plays where he was dancing around in the pocket, extending plays, finding guys down the field, part of me was like, his offensive line has to just be saying, please throw the ball, man, please. But some of that stuff was ridiculous, and he had Heisman moment after Heisman moment after Heisman moment in this game. I mean, he had about 6 or 7 plays that are going to go on that Heisman Trophy reel just from this game alone. And he was toying with Notre Dame. I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns? Mm-hmm. He was great.
Yeah, and they packed the Coliseum. That place was it was slammed. That was cool to see.
Sounded like there were quite a few Notre Dame fans there.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like when they were making big plays offensively, it sounded like there was some and Notre Dame, obviously, a ton of fans everywhere, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't get to see much of the game live. I didn't see any of the game live, but was kind of keeping pace with the score. And the way it started, I was kind of shocked to see that Notre Dame actually kept it as close as they did. But USC's defense, man, I don't know what you call it, opportunistic, whatever, but that team forces more turnovers. I don't know how many they've got on the year, but it's a huge number.
I will say Drew Pine handed them a gift, right, on the fumble. And
that's how it's been for all year. It's just like crazy things have just bounced right to them.
The thing that stood out to me in this game, because we were wondering, can USC's front seven hold up against Notre Dame's run game, right? And I really thought USC's defensive line controlled the majority of the game, right? Notre Dame, they could not get the running game going early. Then they fell into that big hole, kind of had to abandon it a little bit, but USC's defense ended up, even though one was a gift, right? Like ended up producing 2 more turnovers. It's a hell of a season for USC, man. I don't know what else to say other than Lincoln Riley can coach. And I didn't think you could take a program that was 4-8 and turn them into what USC is doing. Like, I didn't think you could do it that quickly, even with all the guys they got in the portal. I thought, you needed some time to establish your systems offensively and defensively, to kind of establish your new culture, kind of what you're all about and how you work, like all that stuff. And turns
Well,
out you can do it, man. I
the
mean,
record,
that's what they've done.
or excuse me, the schedule worked out perfect for that because they didn't have, other than the Utah game, which they lost, they didn't really have much of a challenge. It was like a slow, gradual build to their season that kind of allowed them, because they didn't play great. They survived some of those games, didn't play great all the time, but survived. But it got rough late, and they were, by that time, it feels like they had settled into what they were doing and kind of gotten up to speed. But yeah, I don't feel like Utah's going to beat them in the Pac-12 championship. They just got too much momentum rolling and too much confidence, and it's an impressive feat that they've pulled off. But I hate to say, it is not a good thing for college football if you don't like the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Because like the last thing is like at the transfer portal, it's hard to put together a Frankenstein team, and you got to build culture, and you got to have like togetherness, and you got to have your systems and all of that.
Got to develop.
It's like, who can you bring in every year? Who can you bring in? That's just going to toss a match into the powder keg.
If you can bring in a Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison every year, you find a way to do it.
Well, that's, we go back to the call your shot, biggest takeaways. That's the difference between 10-2 a year ago and where we are now, is a lot of these toss-up games that we should have won and didn't win. A player like Caleb Williams, like last year, that was kind of the difference. Like, and a lot of them was like just pulling things totally out of your ass that you got lucky with. The Kansas game, the Iowa State, the run in that game that was like on a busted play or whatever. Texas, he comes in and saves the day, whipping it downfield, gets a long run. I mean, that's the difference between losing 4 or 5 games last year.
Yep. USC 11-1, going to play for a Pac-12 title, and unless you can think of someone else, I kind of think Caleb Williams already won the Heisman.
Yeah, the only way would be a bad performance and a loss to Utah in the Pac-12 championship game, which I guess there's a chance of that. Utah's a good football team. They're well coached, but I don't see it happening.
I'm with you. One last note from that game. The running back for Notre Dame, Estime, guy looked massive. I mean, looked like it looked like it was like he looked hilariously large. I was watching the game. I was like, who the hell is that dude? Like, that's my last note from that one. All right, last game, the Civil War. Oregon went to Corvallis, and things got weird, Ted. A big Beavers comeback to win it 38-34. First and foremost, the neon orange versus the neon green was just glorious to behold. I mean, what a uniform matchup in this football game.
Yeah, it was something. We couldn't figure out if the turf was weird or just the brightness from the uniforms was messing with the cameras.
Yeah, like the exposure was off because of the neon colors. Like it got cloudy, and the field went from like a nice green to looking gray. It was so strange.
Yeah, it was weird. It was something, but what a game by Oregon State. Huge comeback. Bo Nix was a little banged up in that one. Went out there, battled, looked like they were going to cruise, and not so fast. I mean, Oregon State's turned into a really solid football team.
Yeah, and they deserve a ton of credit because Oregon blew this game open in the third quarter, right? If you weren't able to watch it, right, or Oregon State starts to turn the ball over in the third quarter, Gilbranson threw a pick that gets returned to about the 2-yard line. Oregon punches it in. They fumble. Oregon kicks a field goal off of it. Like Oregon was up 31-10 in this game. But then Oregon State put their big boy pants on and said, you know what? We're running the rock. And they ran it at will. I mean, they ran it straight at Oregon's defense, and they had no answers. And it was with multiple guys, right? Martinez, Fenwick, Newell, like they all were getting their chance to gash Oregon's defense. And Oregon gave them some help, right? Really helps when Oregon's punter drops the ball at the 1-yard line, just has to fall on it, sets up a touchdown. Like Dan Lanning went for it on 4th and 1 on his own 29. They don't convert. Oregon State goes and gets points. Like Nix was, I thought he battled again. He's not the same player when he can't take off and run. And like, I feel like that's what gets him in rhythm as a player. And ultimately they had their chance right at the end of the game. And Oregon State's defense, that's one hell of a goal line stand, man. That was impressive. What a win for the Beavers.
Yeah, that's it's impressive. And even though disappointing late for Oregon, still a pretty nice opening year for Dan Lanning, something that they're going to really be able to build on. Does Bo Nix, gosh, does he have another year? He can't have another year, can he?
I don't know.
Who knows, right?
Who knows? Yes, yeah. No. I've got no clue, but man, Oregon, they got some talent. That Chase Cota dude, everyone knows about Troy Franklin, but Chase Cota had himself a day, and DJ Johnson, I believe is the Oregon player's name, that I don't know what that Oregon State fan said to him, but he punched him right in the head.